Welcome back everybody to another Geometry Dash tutorial. In this one, I'm going to be teaching you guys how you can make a very cool looking boss fight. And I already made a boss fight thing before, but this one's going to be a bit different because the boss fight is actually going to be behind you. And it's going to be a very quick tutorial. I'm not going to go too far into detail or too crazy stuff, but I am going to teach you guys how you can do some very cool stuff. As always, very beginner friendly as always. So we're gonna do a bunch of blocks here, and I want the game mode to be this guy, and we're gonna make him go up like this. We're gonna go to classic. We're gonna change the speed. The speed could actually be normal, and then we're gonna go fast, and I'm gonna place the song trigger just to completely mute the song. Also, if you want to use this, I highly recommend you guys zoom out using the zoom trigger. So just do zoom in and out like that using the zoom trigger, and boom, now it zooms out. And one thing I also want to do is I want to move the camera a bit to the right so that you have a lot more stuff to see, and that way you guys can see that the edge or the left side of the screen is much closer to my icon, which is gonna make it a bit more dramatic. So now we want the press start boss fight, and how do we get it? I mean, I don't want to recreate it, even though I could. So we're gonna do press start boss fight, and we're gonna see if somebody has made it, and if we can just zoink the thing here, you can just take it. Okay, so this guy made it, which looks pretty cool. So we're just gonna go ahead and we're gonna copy plus color, and then we're gonna exit, and then we're gonna go over to our level. It's very important if you want to copy stuff from other people that you at least credit them, or if that was not the case, then you gotta ask them, right? You gotta at least ask them if you can use it. So this is cool. Actually, he also made this anchor point, and it's also perfectly layered. So this is on a single layer, and the upper section is not, which is it's not an issue. Okay, so this is the bottom section, and I don't know what the heck any of this stuff is here. So I'm just gonna be removing these guys, because yeah, I'm not too sure what the heck happened here and why these guys are even in here. But now we have this, which is pretty cool. So now he's gonna open up his mouth like this, and he's gonna close it with the music sync, which is gonna be pretty cool. So we're gonna go and actually use the press start song because it has a lot of beats, and you can use whatever song you really want, but this boss is very specific to this thing. And what was the name again for that one song? It was press start. So you want to just memorize this. So 10007241. So then you go here, and then you do 10007421, and it's wrong. 7241 maybe, yes, 7241, and then you just use it here. Make sure it's classic, and if you want it to start at a specific point, you just go here and you click onto here, and maybe 50. Let's see, so 50 is not really it. 60 is too much. 70, yeah, 60 sounds good. Now you just gotta do this. Actually, I think we need to go to the first drop. Okay, so this sounds good, 16.2, and now we no longer need to mute the song. And now you guys can see that it fits perfectly with this thing. So now we just want to have this on our left side, kind of, going with the camera on the left side and kind of opening his mouth and closing it. So to do that, we want to select this thing, and we're going to give it a group ID. So this is the bottom section of his head, and this is the upper section. So, and this one, we're going to give it 3. So this one is group ID 1, this one is 2, and this one's 3. And then we're going to place them all together, and everybody is going to be on group 4. And now what we're going to do is, there's many different ways on how you can place this on the side of the screen, but I'm just gonna place it on here to the left, and I'm gonna make 4 using the move trigger, edit object. We're gonna make 4 follow the camera. We don't want it to follow the player camera. Also type in here -1 or -1 to make it infinite basically. And I want to make the song a bit quiet because right now it's too loud, but it's just going to be for now. So we can remove this later just so that you guys can also hear me. Okay, so position, it's not that bad. Kind of feel like he should be a bit more down, so you just move him down. Okay, he's really big. Also, he's not on top of the blocks, which is not that very cool. So to do that, let's see the layering. So the layering is very inconsistent, which is not that good. However, it's mostly T3, T1. You guys can see here the layer is T1, you know, T2. So in here, if you enable the show object info, this is very helpful. And now I'm just going to go ahead and place these guys on B1 so that this guy is always on top of them. And he's going to be, you know, closing his mouth and stuff. So now let's actually just do the rotations. How do we do rotations? Let's add a rotate trigger. We want to rotate 1. So 1 around 3, right? The center, the cross there, we made it 3. So now if you just do this, you guys are going to see that he opens his mouth and it looks absolutely cursed, which is not exactly what we want. So we want to just do 2 and we want to make that go to the opposite way. Let's see minus 10 and plus 10. So 1 rotate trigger for the bottom part, 1 around 3, which is this one, and another one is 2 around 3 with negative 10 for the upper section. So yeah, that looks pretty nice. And we want to make it like slow, not slow, but like ease in and out. And then he's going to close his mouth and you can choose what value you really want here. And I kind of feel like this section, there's something wrong here. I kind of feel like this whole thing is not necessary. Like his mouth was a bit too big, so you can really adjust it as you wish, as you want. And okay, so actually there are 2 crosses. There's this one, which is for the bottom one, and then there is another one which is in here. You guys can see it. And I like that the person that made it, or the person that stole it, has put that in there. So we're gonna give this a new ID, not 1. It's gonna be 5 and 5 and 4, because all of this is 4 and 5, so that we have here as the new anchor point, and that looks much cleaner now. Okay, so now we want it to close his mouth like very suddenly, and we can do that by basically using the easing of, I believe you can do exponential in. So something like that is gonna look cool, but of course you can't forget, you gotta like you know, like reverse these. So 10, and then it gotta go minus 10. But now I'm realizing 10 is a bit too low. So I'm gonna do like 15 maybe. And here maybe also 15. And now you can just reverse this and reverse this. So now you guys can see that he actually closes his mouth, which looks pretty nice. Okay, so it's just perfect. It's just a matter of, you know, making sure that these guys work perfectly. I'm gonna add a camera shake right when they basically hit the thing, so that it goes like, you know, like a little bit of a shake is always a why not. And also I want to pulse his eyes, which he has on color 4. So we're gonna channel 4. We're gonna make it pulse to red, and let's see. Yeah, so you guys can see, if you take a look at the eyes, they are changing color, which looks pretty nice. So that's gonna happen exactly when he touches here. And now we're gonna select all of these guys. So those guys are basically responsible for the, you know, the mouth up and then close. We're gonna give them 6, and we're gonna make them spawn, trigger, and also multi-trigger using the edit object over here. And now you want to spawn that 6 using a spawn trigger and spawn ordered, and that means that the thing will close its mouth. And I'm just going to move this a bit so that it's perfect. Yeah, shake is way too much. Don't have, you know, too high shakes in your level if you want to. And now it's just basically about making it sync with the song. So let's see. So it's got to start somewhere in here. Okay, that's perfect here, and then he's gonna do it again. So let's see when the second one would be. So here, and then yeah, that wasn't too bad. Perhaps it was a bit too late, and yeah, that's good. Okay, I like the distance between these guys. So you just want him to basically constantly do it in that exact same time. And now I kind of realized that the thing that we removed was actually kind of necessary. I feel like he kind of looks weird right now. I don't know, but maybe just me. But I'm gonna just go ahead and increase his thing. And yeah, that looks pretty nice. Also, is it just me, or should the upper part... Let's try making the upper section go up and the bottom section go down. So here, so 2 is gonna go up by 5, and then it's gonna go down. So it's gonna be very slow movements. Everything's going to be super duper clean. 2 and then 1, and then these guys are 1, and instead of making them go up first, we want them to go down first, and make sure that they are all on 6 right here. And also spawn trigger, multi-trigger, and now, yeah, so now he opens his mouth and closes it, which looks pretty nice. And I'm gonna try my best. Alright, so I moved the move trigger a bit, and that looks pretty clean. And also, I just want to have some random up and down movements for the entire body, which is going to be 4. We're going to move it up by perhaps like 8, and it's going to be really slow. And then we're going to copy and paste it to, actually that's a bit too much, let's do like 1.5 seconds. And we're going to end it right here, a bit before it actually ends. And then we're going to select them both and create loop. And this way he's going to go up and down. That looks, you know, pretty clean. You guys can see he's going to go up and down constantly. And now I feel like he should be a bit more like that, so that he fits also on the screen. I'm gonna bring him a bit closer, and this is pretty cool. He's a bit too close, so I'm gonna just adjust this like to 9. I don't want him to be too close to the thing. Okay, so one thing I want to add is like a cool shader like that goes like this as soon as he, you know, makes his mouth movements. And let's see how that's gonna be. So we wanted to actually begin at one of these anchor points, which in our case is we're going to target 4. And we want it to be a bit faster, and let's see how that's going to look like. So it's going to go from here, it's going to go to there, and boom. Yeah, that looks pretty nice, but you really have to adjust it so that it fits perfectly and it doesn't look weird. So the speed has to be a lot bigger, but the timing I think was pretty perfect. And you're gonna make it also in here. Yep, that's a much better timing. Also, I don't like the fact that it's the settings I just don't like. So let me just go ahead and adjust this. Perhaps a bit more fade in and fade out is always nice. And that's way too much wave width, so decrease the thickness, just play around with it really. Maybe, let's see how that's gonna be. That's way too much, so I'm gonna just decrease it. And I think this is not bad. And now you guys can see it actually looks a lot cleaner. But the wave is still a bit too slow, so I'm gonna just increase the thing. And yep, this is, I think, the final version. Okay, now the problem is we centered it around 4, and 4 is any of these guys, which is not good. You should always have it on one single center, which in our case is going to be 3, because 3 is a single object, so it's always going to look the same, which is pretty cool. And I think the wave is a bit too, you know, a bit too small. And yep, that's I think a bit cleaner. I like to make it a bit bigger and just reduce the strength. This way it just looks a lot better. Okay, so cool. And we're going to pulse the background as soon as we're just going to copy this. And we're going to make it pulse the background to red as soon as you touch him. And yeah, I think that's it. We're going to add a shader, make sure it's targeting everything, and boom. Okay, so now it's just about looping these guys. We're going to move them up and we're going to loop them, and we're going to see. So the distance is around 1 second, which I think is going to be pretty good. So now these guys are just going to constantly play. Okay, so it's actually a bit too low, so I might do 9.5. Just adjust this to exactly what you want. 9.5 perhaps should be good. Yeah, I think this is pretty good. Also, one small thing I'm going to teach you guys, it's going to be like a very quick one, is going to be like a bit of a random camera thing. So we're going to do degree plus 3, and we're going to do like a bit of an ease out, and then slowly we're going to bring it back to 0 like that. And this one's going to be 11, and it's going to be spawned through this thing, which is going to spawn 11 on a spawn ordered. However, we're going to have another one which is going to be 12, and this one's going to go in the opposite direction, and this one's going to spawn 12. And then these guys can have 2 different group IDs, and we're going to spawn 13 and 14 sequentially using the sequence trigger. So 11 and 12, right? No, 13 and 14. Oops, that was my bad. So 13 and 14 sequentially like that. And now every time he basically hits his thing, the camera is gonna rotate once to the right, then to the left, then to the right, which looks pretty clean. Okay, and you can adjust these as you wish. You know, make them a bit smaller, and you know, adjust this, adjust that as you wish, and boom. Yeah, I think that's pretty good. So don't abuse the camera, because otherwise it's gonna be weird. I feel like it's already kind of weird, but it's all right. Also, I'm gonna like zoom slowly out like that, just to add a bit more thing. And yeah, Let's give it a try in normal mode. Now, it might look different in the actual normal mode than... okay, so one thing we actually forgot is to make him visible. Because, yeah, by the way, the first attempt is always super duper weird. Also add this object to make sure no, you know, in and out is happening on the sides of the screen. And I think you should be good to go. So first attempt is just weird in Geometry Dash. It's just weird. The second attempt is just much cleaner. And now you guys can see we have created a cool boss fight. And yeah. Just perfect sync, just adds a bit more to your level. So I really hope you guys enjoyed this. Make sure to slap the like, subscribe, and watch one of those videos that are currently on the screen right now. We'll see you guys over there. Also, make sure to, yeah, like, have you subscribed yet? Because come on.